Hi, friends. It's Rebecca Stewart here from Cheering Past Challenges. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you what I'm going through right now 8 things I'm struggling with today. Number one, missing my mom. It's been about 300 days since I actually touched my mom and was able to just have a normal visit with her. It's been 111 days since I've been able to have an outdoor visit with her and actually see her face to face. It is tough. I'm not going to lie. Are you somebody that is missing a loved one because they're in a nursing home and you have no access to them? If that's you, will you comment down below? Share with me ways that you are combating this sadness because I'm really struggling with it right now. Number two, the isolation of COVID. So I don't know about you, but I am feeling like I miss my people. I miss my friends. I miss my Bible study. I miss being able to go to church and just praise Him without worrying about if I'm going to get COVID. The isolation, I think, is affecting especially extroverts very hard. I think everybody is having a difficult time, but of the family and friends that I know that are more extroverted, they seem to be really struggling. And so I don't really have anything to offer other than obviously continue to practice self care and do little things that help make you feel good while being at home and being safe. I know this is awful. I think y'all can relate to this. Like, I have been cooking anything I want. Like, if I want this cake or that cake, I made carrot cake because I love cream cheese frosting. I think I've made it 4 or 5 times since COVID began, and I'm definitely up in weight. And I don't care because it's giving me just a little bit of pleasure where I just feel awful. Some days I just feel isolated and I feel like we're never going to get out of this. Number three, I'm feeling disconnected from Christmas because of the pandemic. Traditions that we did before, we're not able to do now. I'm not able to just invite friends and family over for a dinner. So typically that's what I would do to love on others is I would make this amazing meal and we would like all go for a ride together and go to the see the Christmas lights and come back and eat and then we might all go to church and these things all require groups of people. So this is just such an unusual Christmas and I just feel like this year is a joke. And I feel like we haven't had any snow in Wisconsin, which is bizarre. And I myself am struggling with what's okay and what isn't okay for Christmas during the pandemic. I know you all can relate, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know what's correct. Number four. So, my mom's payer source has been insisting that my mom move into a new nursing home. This has come up. It comes up like every 6 months because currently my mom is inside a nursing home in a behavioral unit, like they call it behavioral health unit. It's only a 10-bed unit. It's for geriatric patients. It's about 10 miles from my house, so it's ideal. They do an amazing job of taking care of her. Like, it's the best of the best. And so, my mom is an SSI recipient. She receives medical assistance and Medicaid. And because she's on assistance, there is a third party that oversees my mom's care and in turn pays her bills. They receive all her public assistance and then they pay for whatever she needs. And then in turn, I, as guardian, work directly with them to go over care plans. I think it's like every quarter I sign a care plan, and it's awesome. However, in this instance, because her care is so skilled, it's expensive. So, say a typical nursing home might be $200 a day, hers is costing $400 a day. And I think it was 3 weeks ago, she was running from them and slipped and fell back and hit her head and hit the corner edge of the windowsill. And they had to send her to the emergency room and they just patched her up. And she was back that night, but it still is a risk. Not because it's better for her to move, but because it's efficient and costs less for her to move into a lesser restrictive environment. And so, if you're a guardian, you have filled out paperwork before called an annual report that basically says, yes, my ward is in the least restrictive environment. And what that means is that that person is given the utmost independence in their care, but also it means that they are in an economic situation that isn't expensive, right? Or isn't too costly for their care. And the latter is definitely proving to be now a challenge because the payer source no longer wants to pay what they have been. Because typically, where my mom is at is just like a rehab type situation where people would, live there for a month or two, get their meds together, and then move to the nursing home. But because my mom is a more severe case of schizophrenia and because she has psychosis more than not, she needs to be in this area, in this specialized unit. And everybody knows it. Everyone knows that she is where she should be. But every 6 months, the payer source tries to convince us that she should move to a nursing home, which in my eyes would be tragic because if she moves to a place that can't take care of her, she could fall and get hurt, go to the hospital. She could wind up in places like Mendota, the state run mental ward, which is, I think, $1,000 a day, something outrageous. And so that would actually be more costly than just keeping her at the $400 a day, but she's well maintained. So I'm struggling with that. That has just happened in the last week. They called an emergency meeting and I'm trying to get all this footage out to all of you because I'm so excited for the Cheering Past Challenges community and I'm so excited to share some of my story about my mom and mental health. And of course, this just had to pop up, and I had to do the meeting, and I was very annoyed, and I had to be polite, and I did not want to be. I wanted to yell. So, the fifth thing I'm worried about right now is the fear that my mom is going to get COVID in her nursing home. Currently, we have 9 residents within the building, and it's a huge building, not in my mom's particular wing, and that's locked off, but in other wings, they have 9 residents, 1 death. So that has been a real fear. If my mom were to get COVID, would she survive that? I don't know. Number six, the vaccine. I am not convinced that I'm going to get the vaccine, and I'm not convinced that I'm not going to get the vaccine. Basically, I'm open and I'm waiting to see how others react to this vaccine. I'm concerned that I heard that some of the strains have cells of an aborted baby fetus. I obviously for my personal convictions, I don't agree with that. However, I've heard other vaccines have that as well, and so maybe it's just a technicality that I wasn't aware of. My other fear of getting the vaccine is that it will make us sick. I know that the professionals are saying you're not going to get COVID if you take the vaccine, but I'm a young individual and I'm healthy, so I don't really see the value in that right now. However, with my mom's case, she has had a poor experience with her last vaccination that didn't go well. She wound up in the hospital for 2 weeks, and her doctor said that it's more than reasonable to refuse further vaccines. Now, this was before COVID, so it will be up to the medical provider, her medical provider, if she will have the vaccine. But right now I'm leaning towards no. It's just a struggle. It's a struggle. I think all of us have to make up our minds and all of us have to do the research as far as do we really need the vaccine? One of the things that I know I want to do is I want to be able to travel. I don't want to put others at risk. So if it's in the mentality of service, then I want to do what's right. I'm wondering how you're feeling about the COVID vaccine. Is that something that you're willing to take on? Please comment below. The number 7 thing I'm worried about right now is the fear that I'm not going to see my mom again. It just is. It's a fear that she's going to pass away before I get clearance to go in there and give her a hug and a kiss. And I know for a lot of people, my friend Sue lost her dad during this COVID, pandemic and wasn't able to fully be with him the way she wanted to. And it's a real fear. All I have can do is pray. I mean, there's nothing more that I can do about that. Number 8, and the last thing that I'm struggling with right now is the fear that others are going to judge me based on my decisions and how I'm handling the pandemic. I started going back to the gym this week because I missed my runs and I missed just being active. But for 10 months, y'all, I have not been to the gym. And I told you I've been eating, so got this weight gain. And I'm worried that people are going to judge me, even though I'm wearing a mask. And even though like no one is at the gym right now, I just feel like I'm getting away with something. And so are you feeling that way too? Like, I mean, yes, we have to stay home and we have to do our part, but we also have to choose things that support our mental health. And so for me, exercise is a big part of that. And it's 20 degrees outside today. So I'm not going to go run and slip and fall on some ice or something. And I am just feeling conflicted. The other thing is that I choose to wear a mask in public. And so I'm even concerned that others are going to think that I'm too much of a prude and I'm too safe, you know? And for me, wearing a mask is fun. Like I get different patterns, different colors. I get flower masks. I've got some with rhinestones. Like I'm ready to rock the masks. And the only thing that's slightly annoying for me is when I'm running at the Y and the mask is like, I'm sucking it in, you know, as I'm like getting a good run. And so if y'all have recommendations about the mask so that I'm not inhaling the mask, let me know. Like I need a mask that isn't movable, if that makes sense. Our local wineries and restaurants are really hurting because of this pandemic. And so a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine and I went to this local winery and we sat in this small little place. I mean, we had our masks and we took them off and we had a glass of wine. And the owner was just saying how she's not gonna stay afloat. I mean, she got a stimulus check, and that's not even gonna come close to the rent. I mean, it's not, and so, my heart goes out to local business and people that their lives depend on our economy and us using their services. So and the last thing that's been really hard is saying no to family gatherings. I have been invited to a number of family gatherings that I really would love to attend because family is number one to me. But I've had to say no to a few of them. And I'm worried about what others think about me. Are they going to judge me because I said no? Or, you know, do they think that I just don't want to be there? And then you just like your mind just starts spinning. So that's something I'm really struggling with. But I'm not going to lie, I'm making decisions and it's just creating a lot of mental space. Like, am I doing the right thing? Is this good? That's it. Those are my 8 things that I'm struggling with right now. And I'm wondering if you related to any of these. I think other people are probably feeling this way, but oh, it feels good. I like got it out. I vented and now I'm ready to live my life and hopefully judgment free, right? Like we deserve the right to live our lives without judgment. So, thank you for listening. God bless and have a great day.